Good evening and welcome to the 2017 Capital University Athletics Hall of Fame Awards program. Please welcome this evening's Master of Ceremonies, Randy Reinhardt.
Good evening. First of all, I want to explain, I have a script tonight, but I lost part of it because I've heard this excuse a million times. We have a 7-month-old puppy, and tonight, ladies and gentlemen, my dog did eat my homework. So I'm going off of a revised script, and his name apropos, it's Bandit, very much. He stole my script tonight, but thank you for coming. I am Randy Reinhardt. I'm the voice of Thursday Night Lights on the CW Columbus. I'm the voice of St. Gabriel Catholic Radio, which is very good for a Lutheran, I think, or as they call me, Catholic Light on St. Gabriel Radio. I also do Auto Smarts Radio. I'm voice of the Big Ten Network for some 5 years, too, and more importantly, and I'm proud to say, a voice of Capital Athletics for more than a decade as well, too. So go Crusaders. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Capital's campus on this picture-perfect homecoming Saturday. For many years, this program was held on a Saturday morning in February on the frozen tundra. Today's weather is a far cry from blizzards or freezing rain, and we are pleased to reintroduce the annual Hall of Fame induction and award ceremony as an ongoing part of Capital's homecoming celebration, as there is no better time to celebrate the outstanding individual accomplishments of some of Capital University's athletes and coaches. This program is made possible with the support of the Alumni Varsity C Association, the Office of Alumni Relations, and the Athletic Department. More importantly, it is the support of Capital Athletics alumni and other individuals who support the university and its teams with great passion and devotion that bring us here tonight. At this time, I'd like to ask every member of the Alumni Varsity C members of Capital's Alumni Advisory Board, both former and current, as well as members of Capital's Board of Trustees, to stand up so we can thank you all for your support right now. Also, I'd like to invite any previous Hall of Fame inductees or athletic award winners who are with us this evening to stand and be recognized as well. And I'd like to recognize Bandit for chewing up my script one more time. Thank you. And now, most importantly, I ask you to please join me in welcoming Capital University's president, Dr. Beth Paul, to the podium. Dr. Paul.
Well, good evening. What a lovely group you are. Honestly, you should stand up here and look out at you. Really, this is a lovely group. Well, I am thrilled to take a few minutes to welcome you tonight and to bring greetings from our entire CAP family. Greetings of pride, greetings of appreciation, greetings of CAP fam. I saw it in action all over the campus today, and I hope you did too. I hope you felt CAP fam in action all across the campus today. And part of the way that I see it is among you. I see wonderful families and friends gathered around in celebration of some people who truly are exemplary in what we call here a scholar athlete. We recognize here that people learn in all different ways, and that our students are full people. They aren't just an arm here or a leg there or a head here and an arm or a heart there. They're actually whole people. And one of the things that Capital does very well, I think, is respect the learning of whole people. And I think one of the ways we do that best is with our scholar athletes. What we see among our scholar athletes is we see people who push themselves, who push and stretch and grow and reach in powerful ways, who learn through challenge, who apply themselves in all different ways, on the playing field certainly, but when you listen to the introductions of our athletes, and you are, some of you are, we would introduce you that way too, you are many splendored things all wrapped up into one person. And you go out and you have a very important impact on the world. That's what our students are doing. And it's a very powerful thing. As I look at the world, that's what we need in our world. We need people like you, those whom we're honoring tonight. We need people whom you inspire in our current student athletes. So I am so grateful to have all of you here. I'm also very, very grateful to recognize Roger and Joe Ingalls as new members of our community. What an absolute joy to welcome them to CapFam this year. I'm so glad that you're here. It feels like you've been here for decades. I know you were a little farther away. You just didn't know you were part of CapFam yet. But you are quickly part of CapFam, and we treasure having you here. And we're delighted with the people that you've brought here to join CapFam as well. So I'm very delighted to have you here tonight. You'll hear from Roger later, and you'll be just as touched and inspired as we all are. So thank you all for gathering here today. Capitol is alive and well and thriving and is brightening our world in all different ways, a world that really desperately needs brightening. So thank you for supporting us. Thank you for believing in Capitol, and have a great evening. I celebrate you.
Thank you, President Paul. Now I'd like to invite Dale Mittler, immediate past president of Capital University's Alumni Advisory Board, to come forward to deliver the invocation. Following that, the staff of 2 caterers' contemporary cuisine will come around to dismiss each table when it's time to go to the buffet. Please enjoy your meal, and we'll resume the program after a short break for dinner.
Please join me in a word of prayer. Creator, sustainer, and life giver, we give you thanks for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us, especially the beautiful weather we have enjoyed during this week's homecoming activities. We give you thanks for this place we call Capital University, for her students, alumni, faculty, staff, and friends. As we come together to celebrate those who have excelled on Capitol's athletic fields and courts, we thank you for all of the alumni and friends of Crusader Athletics. And now we ask that you bless this food to our use and us to your service. Make us grateful for all of your mercies and mindful of the needs of others. In your most holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now resume this evening's program. Please give a warm welcome to Capitol's Director of Athletics and Recreation, Roger Ingalls.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be up here and wearing purple. I really want to thank the CapFam for not only embracing myself, but also my family, and thank my wife, Jo. Some of you have probably heard her. She's a political reporter and works for Ohio Public Radio and TV, and has done that for a long time. And anybody that can be around politicians as long as she has, you got to have a special place in your heart for her. So thanks, Jo. I knew the day after I announced that I was leaving my old school up in Delaware for Capitol, I knew I made the right choice because every single friend I had from Otterbein called and disowned me. And if I knew it was that simple, I would have done it a long time ago. But seriously, I came to Capitol for many reasons. First, it's the CapFam. A lot of schools have mottos and hashtags and things, but I want to tell you what, CapFam is real. It doesn't have to be a hashtag, it doesn't have to be a motto. There is a real family atmosphere on this campus. And it starts at the top. It takes leadership from the board, but most importantly, it takes leadership from your president. And Dr. Paul was a big reason why I chose to leave where I was and come to Capitol. The other thing that made it easy for me was I knew some of our veteran coaches. We have some coaches who have been here for a little bit, who have had great success and who I have watched being close, and Damon and Dixie and Nan, Ryan, that are outstanding coaches, and more importantly, they're outstanding people, and I really wanted a chance to work with them. And we have a great young staff. We have some of the best young coaches in the country, and I am more and more impressed with them every day that I'm around them. And most importantly, we had the opportunity to add to them. And I want to kind of embarrass one guy right now, but had a guy that was with me for 7 years at my last job, and I knew that when I came here, if I could bring him with me, that my workload would be a lot less, and we would be a lot better off as a department. So Dustin, would you stand up and be recognized? Dustin Rudiger is our new Assistant Athletic Director. Could I have all of our coaching staff, training staff, everyone who's here, please stand up and be recognized, because folks, these guys are really special. So please stand up and be recognized. Thank you. Our scholar athletes are special, and they deserve the best. They really play hard. You saw it today. They play hard. They practice hard. And most importantly, they do it with class. My job here is to make sure that our coach's job is easier and that our players and student athletes can experience the best possible athletic program in the country. Tonight, we're going to honor some of the very best to have ever played here or to have ever been a part of this program. We have some great athletes, have some great coaches, and some great alums here in the room tonight. They are the epitome of why this coaching staff and people like myself do our jobs. I want you to please give a hand to our inductees that we're going to welcome in and induct in tonight and award special awards to. Please give them a hand. I know you're going to get a chance to do it later, but at least recognize that, folks, these are the greatest of their time. Please stand up and be recognized real quick. We're all proud to be here and share the night with you. So I guess it's my honor now to turn it back to our MC and welcome back Randy Reinhardt so we can hear a little bit more about these individuals. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. And at this time, I'd like to ask our inductees and award winners to please come to the stage and take a seat for the remainder of the program. Quick Roger story. Roger's an AD at that school up north, so to speak. We're doing women's lacrosse, Owu and Denison. We have a lightning delay. So I posture Roger so he cannot see the lightning. We're talking this way, the lightning is behind him. Every time there's a lightning delay, it's another 30 minutes. So I'm thinking if I turn Roger, we don't have to wait as long. So we do this conversation, and we're talking. In the middle of a sentence, there's a strike behind us, and he continues and says, you know, I think that's why we're on the course we're on right now. And he goes, and by the way, I saw the lightning strike behind my head. So he literally has eyes in the back of his head. So keep in mind when you're working in the athletic department, Roger knows and sees all. Selection to the Capital University Athletic Hall of Fame is reserved for athletes who have earned at least 2 varsity athletic awards or for coaches who have served on the Capital staff for at least 10 years. Additionally, inductees into the Hall of Fame shall have made significant and long-term contributions to intercollegiate athletics at Capital University and exemplify the highest standards for sportsmanship, ethical conduct, integrity, and moral character. Please turn your attention to the video screen as we begin our celebration of this year's inductees.
In 1978, the Alumni Varsity C Association established the Capital University Athletic Hall of Fame. This tradition at Capital pays a deserving tribute to athletes and coaches who have contributed to and have helped perpetuate a long and distinguished history of Capital University athletics. Since 1978, 209 individual athletes and coaches have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. A display of all honorees is located on the walls of the Capitol Center Fieldhouse. And now, this year's honorees. Pam Briggs, volleyball coach. When conversations are had regarding the evolution of Capital volleyball and women's sports at Capital University, Pam Briggs will most certainly be one of the headliners guiding the conversation. Coach Briggs came to Capital in 1990 as an assistant coach and saw 2 coaching changes before becoming the head coach herself in 1993. A product of Kent State University, the experience and leadership gathered along with their prominent Division I playing career paid immediate dividends when in her first season the Crusaders went from a 7-win team to 19 wins. And that was just the beginning.
And what a beginning it was, with her very first win as head coach coming against Earlham College, my wife's alma mater, by the way, in straight sets on September the 4th, 1993. 3 times over the course of her career, Coach Briggs led the Crusaders to resetting the single-season team wins mark, which now stands at 32 after the 2005 squad achieved that feat. She did so first in 1995 when in just her 3rd season, the Purple and White garnered 28 wins to just 6 losses and finished the conference season at 8-1, the best OAC record for any Capital team and something only 2 other teams have done in the program's history, also under Pam's direction. The next year, Capital repeated that effort and won the program's first OAC regular season championship. Capital's volleyball team christened the Capital Center with its first taste of victory on September the 7th, 2001, when the Crusaders defeated Wilmington College and Bluffton College in straight sets on the same day. The 2001 season also set a lengthy streak into motion, marking the first of 8 consecutive years with 20 or more wins in a season. Coach Briggs amassed 436 career victories and more than 100 OAC wins over 23 years as the head volleyball coach at Capital University, easily attaining the title of the winningest coach in program history. She guided her teams into the NCAA D3 volleyball tournament 2 times in 2005 and 2006. Over her career, she was named the OAC Coach of the Year in 95 and 2002, and in 2005 was both the OAC and the AVCA Great Lakes Region Coach of the Year. The accolades Pam received as a coach extended beyond the performance of her teams on the court. Her skill at recruiting passionate women to be great student athletes was a hallmark of her career. During her time as coach, 35 of her players earned All-American OAC awards, and 53 were named to the Academic All-OAC team, and 5 players would be named Academic All-Americans. 2 of those 5 would go on to be named Academic All-American of the Year, and in fact, you'll get to hear about one of them later in this evening's program. There's little doubt that Coach Pam Briggs has made a lasting impact on Capital's athletic program, and it's fitting that we have the opportunity to celebrate her tonight in the very space where so much of her success took place. Please join me in welcoming Pam Briggs into the Capital University Athletic Hall of Fame.
Thank you, President Paul, Athletic Director Ingalls, Randy, thank you, Alumni Director Grove Miller, Varsity C members that are here tonight, distinguished guests and honorees, Fred, Tom, James, Nici, and Derek, all very deserving individuals for this award tonight. Capital University has been my home for 25 years. I was honored to wear the purple and white and to represent Capital as a coach, an instructor, a mentor, and a friend of the university. My husband Bob always said I had the best job in the world. I had people who could cheer for me, whether it was a good day or a bad day. People would come out of the stands, or people would give me a pat on the back and say, you know, just go, keep going, keep fighting, keep winning for the Crusaders. So it was a great job. But standing up here today really is just a reflection of the many people that I need to thank. And Woody Hayes said it best, quoting, "You win with people." And so today I would just like to give, I cut it down, a lot of thanks, but I did cut it down. First, I want to thank my parents, John and Sharon Lake, who are here tonight. I was blessed with true, wonderful parents. My dad taught me hard work, dedication, professionalism, and integrity. My mom, such a loving and kind spirit. She always wanted her daughters to go to college, go to college, go to college, and do whatever it takes. And I was very fortunate to be able to use my sport to take me to college. I also had the advantage of working for my father, and we were just chuckling at the table for 8 summers. He was a golf course superintendent, and I was on the work crew. And I was very fortunate to see a different side of my father. And he was one tough boss, as I was just talking with my cousins about. He worked hard every day, and I knew I wanted to work just as hard as him. He had a sign that hung over the maintenance shed. It said, "Lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way." And I knew that I wanted to lead at that point. And I was willing to follow when necessary, but I knew I didn't want to just be in the way. So much of my coaching philosophy today stems from those two people, my mom and my dad, and I thank you. I want to thank my sister Susan and her husband Mark, who are also here tonight. My sister is such a loving and kind soul, just like my mom. She's a professional nurse. She went on to college. I was in education. But she's Capital's #1 fan. She would always make signs, sit in the stands, and woohoo, cheer. And she would say, do you have a Capital shirt I can wear? And she would just cheer. And she's still taking care of me today. And I just want to recognize my sister Susan and her husband Mark. And they have a son that went to Capital and graduated and is married his college sweetheart. They're doing fantastic. So thank you, Susan and Mark. Speaking of Capital's #1 fan, I would be remiss in not recognizing my husband of 30-plus years, who's not here with me tonight. He's in the wilderness of Canada fishing with his brothers. He's freezing his butt off. He did call me last night and said, it is freezing here. I said, well, good luck. Have fun, catch some fish, keep warm. But he's the most supportive husband, videographer, camera carrier that any coach could ask for, but he's the most wonderful husband. And I'm so thankful for God for him, to God for him. My career here at Capital would not have been imaginable if it wasn't for meeting, by happen chance, a woman playing competitive volleyball, Margaret Hoffman. She's here this evening. She was the first coach here at Capital that I met. She's like, hey, you want to be my assistant? And I'm like, hey, sure. And back in the 80s, when I was freshly out of Kent, it was so wonderful to meet a woman who was just as competitive as I was. And she worked at this great university right down the street. And I was just really taken aback by that offer. And to stand here today because of that offer, Peg, I'm just very, very grateful and thankful. Just a competitive woman, still training athletes today. But she was willing to develop an up-and-coming sport of volleyball back then, and it was just really, really wonderful. So thank you. I would like to thank next Roger Welsh and Dixie Jeffers. They're not here this evening, but they threw some money behind Capital Volleyball. They just wanted it to become a sport that Capital could be proud of. And I just want to thank them for their support and leadership in allowing us to grow. And then this wonderful building that we have here today. I'd also like to thank the many colleagues here who shared their gifts, time, talent, and motivation. First, there's just so many, but first I just picked two here. First, I'd just like to thank Damon Goodwin. We had offices kind of across from each other, and sometimes I'd just pop in because he had an open door policy, and he's like, what's wrong? What's troubling you? I'd sit down, and he just lent an ear, and then he would just pat me on the back and say, well, go get him. I was like, oh okay. And I just really appreciated just having that support, Damon. Thank you. It meant a lot to me. And Nan Payne, also back there. I was just truly blessed, Nan. Thank you for not just sharing the daily grinds of the day, but also your spirituality and the loving of Jesus, our Lord, and how that's instrumental in growing women today. I just really appreciated those conversations and just the enrichedness I've gotten from our relationship. So thank you. I don't see Marilyn Knoll here, but I would be remiss without talking about Marilyn Knoll, who I love dearly. Marilyn was the very first person when over in Troutman Hall, I couldn't find my office. And then we had to walk over to the alumni gym. She just took me under her wing, and she just loved on me. If you know Marilyn, which many of you do, she just loved on me and loved on me. She said, you'll figure it out. And I did eventually. But I just am still a very good friend with Marilyn. And I don't know where she is this evening, but I'm praying for her, and I love her. And thank you, Marilyn. A good head coach is only as good as the people that she surrounds herself with. And I was blessed over the years to have many great assistants. Two of them I'd like to recognize today. Adrienne Delph, she did 2 stints with me. We played against each other. She was at BGI's at Kent. Then she coached at Heidelberg, and I coached here at Capital. And then I had the honor of having her on my bench in some different interludes of her career. She's a wealth of knowledge and a talent of education and teaching. She challenged me as a coach. We had many tough discussions, usually in the parking lot of this building, about training athletes and how I could be tougher and better, and I appreciated that, and she never would bring it in front of the kids, and she made me a better coach, and I thank Adrienne Delph for that wonderful, wonderful experience. Laura Moon, she was a 4-year starter here at Capitol. She was with me for 8 years. She was a successful high school coach. She's a very successful businesswoman. She gave 8 years of her time to be with me here. She loved her experience here. She was a true believer in the Capitol philosophy. She worked hard instilling the values that we hold dear in our hearts to these young women. I know she's like a little mini me. I know it may not be a compliment, Laura, but she's one heck of a competitive woman who possesses the highest standards for herself, and she loves Capitol, and women were benefited by having her working her every day. So thank you, Laura, and thank you to all of my assistants for making Capitol volleyball better. Finally, I just want to say thank you to the many women who said yes to a coach who said you had to graduate in 4 years. I wasn't going to have anyone on my team that did not have that as a goal. All but one did. She got hurt, so she came back. Who had to say yes to a 3-point or higher team individual GPA. And she had to say yes to being the very best person she possibly could be while she was on this campus. I looked for those women who wanted to sacrifice, who wanted to place team before themselves, who wanted to accomplish some amazing goals. I thank the parents for allowing me a small window into the life of their daughter as a role model and a mentor. It takes, and I do have here in the audience, an incredible, strong mother to allow another woman to come into their daughter's life and help them make decisions for their future. These mothers were amazing. I was so truly blessed. I can't thank them enough. These athletes were exceptional women. As you see with Nici here, a wonderful mother, wife, businesswoman, athlete. I just say, wow. As being a Hall of Fame member here, my picture is going to hang on that wall, and I hope that they see past the coach, but into a program, into a group of women who strive for something better, a commitment towards success, and a desire to be uncomfortable in order to grow. I always said obstacles are just temporary obstructions put before you awaiting success on the other side. So be bold, for God has richly blessed us. Thank you.
James Mayer, class of 1996. Jim Mayer is one of the most decorated Capitol baseball players over the last 50 years. During his time as a Crusader, Jim was crowned OAC Player of the Year and a 3-time All-American. From 1993 to 1996, Mayer impacted the Capitol baseball program in a very obvious way. As a freshman, Mayer possessed a .319 batting average, recorded 21 runs batted in, and collected his first collegiate home run. He began making a name for himself not just for his contact hitting and power, but also for his speed and ability to steal bases. In 1993, he stole 16 of 18 bases that he attempted.
It was an amazing start for a freshman player, but the '94 campaign was when Jim's career as a Crusader really took off. It served as the first of his 3 All-American seasons and was the season in which he started revising the Capitol record books. As a sophomore, Jim set the Capitol record for single-season batting average, hitting .508. .508. That number still stands as the record today. He broke the previous best by more than 45 points. The next best hitter on the team that season logged a .333 batting average. Between his freshman and sophomore season, he increased his RBI count by 14, bringing in 35 runs, more than double the number of total bases taken at 96, and nearly double the number of stolen bases with 31. Look at those legs today, in fact, too. He collected 22 extra base hits, which included a school record of 16 doubles, 4 triples, and 2 home runs. It marked the first of 3 times he was named first-team All-OAC and earned All-American honors, beginning with a third-team placement that year. As magical as his sophomore season was, Jim hit even new heights as a junior in 1995. Records continued to fall as he set new program bests with 124 total bases, 47 RBIs, 51 runs scored. At bats taken with 171, he collected 71 hits and matched his record for doubles set the previous season. He also logged the second most home runs with 8, as well as stolen bases in a single season with 41. His .444 batting average was also the third best in a single season. Behind those numbers, he was named first-team All-OAC, OAC Player of the Year, and went on to be a first-team All-American. Mayer and the Crusaders also advanced to the OAC postseason for the first time in school history, behind one of the program's best seasons and a 25-win campaign. Jim returned for his senior campaign and once again hit north of 400, which included a career high and then record 48 RBIs. He also went on to hit 12 doubles, 3 triples, and 6 home runs to fuel a .413 batting average. This guy is the Rod Carew of Capital. Those numbers yielded his third and final All-American honor, this time being tabbed on the second team. With his contributions to the Capital team, the Crusaders also put together their second straight 20-win season. As a student athlete, Jim set an incredible standard for all the players that would go on to step into the batter's box at Clausen Field. Please join me in welcoming him now as he steps up to the podium to become a member of Capital's Athletic Hall of Fame. Jim.
Well, good evening, everybody. I have to tell you, when the video cut off there, I was a little concerned that we were just going to talk about that freshman year and everybody's going to wonder what I was doing up here. So wait, what about 94 through 96? Those are the good ones. Yeah, it's great to be here tonight. It's truly an honor and a thrill. And I want to take the time to thank all of the folks that would help or have helped to make that possible, including the alumni department, the university itself, the Varsity C, and the baseball program. And, you know, it's been 21 years since I've been running around those bases down there, chasing down fly balls, stretching doubles into triples, and trying to make a life out of that. And it really brings back a lot of memories to be down here today. And they had a doubleheader down there as coincidence would have it, and I was able to go down and meet with the new coach, and I was just really impressed with the direction the program seems to be heading in. They've done great things with the field, and it kind of made the trip even more special that they happen to be playing down there today and to get to meet some of those guys. Tonight, I am joined by my wife, Brandy. She's amazing. That little guy right there who's waving his hands to everybody is my son, James the Fourth. And then the little one over there in pink is Harper Violet. And then I've got my loving mother over there and my little brother, Michael, who was a middle teenager, I believe, back around the time that we were playing. And I think he was my biggest fan. I don't know if things have changed too much down there, but I'm not sure that's saying much. Baseball in the spring in Ohio in Division III, you might see 5 or 10 people. It's not always a sellout. But that said, he made it down there as much as he could to keep an eye on me and root us on. You know, for me with baseball, it started as a very young guy. I was about the age of my son. And in 1980, I went to my first game up in Cleveland. I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan, for better or worse. And lately, that's for the better. We can't fix the Browns yet, but the Indians and the Cavs are going real well. And I remember going up there to that first baseball game, and just like they say, you walk through that tunnel and you see the green grass, and the players are like gods. And as a kid, you know, that's just all you want to do. And I went to that game with my dad, and from that moment, I was just hooked. And I spent all my time growing up, whenever I had free time, playing baseball and hoping that someday I could, you know, further that, whether it was college or anything after that. And with that in mind, I went down to OU. They are in no rush to induct me into the Hall of Fame down there. As I was a walk-on, and my body hadn't quite caught up yet to my desire to be a good ball player. And I tried my best, made the team as a walk-on, redshirted, and ultimately it just didn't work out. And I came back down there my sophomore year, and I had an apartment off campus with a buddy. And it seemed that we were spending too much time down on Court Street, perhaps instead of the library. And I started to see things getting away from me a little bit. And it got to be about this time of year back in 1992. And this is the best time of year for a baseball guy. As Roger Ingalls would tell you, it's Major League Baseball time. It's October baseball. And I remember sitting on a couch, probably drinking a few beers, even though I wasn't supposed to yet. And we were watching the games, and I just kind of started to get the bug again. And I said to myself, I want to get back out there. I want to start playing again. And I remembered that Jeff Bricker up here at Capitol had just gotten started. And he came after me a little bit in high school. And I got to thinking about that, and I wrote him a letter. You might say, well, why didn't you send an email? This is the early 90s. Nobody heard of that stuff yet. So I sent a letter up there, and about a week later, he checked me out again, and he did some homework, and he called me down there in that apartment, and I talked to him. And, my plan was if this could work out, I'd finish the school year at OU and then, get up there the next year and then play in the spring. So like maybe a year and a half away, I'd be back at it. He had a different idea. He said, hey, I need a third baseman. And I'm thinking, get up here in 4 or 6 weeks, you make the Florida trip with us. And that sounded pretty damn good to me. There's just one problem. I wasn't a third baseman, and I had no idea how to get a financial aid package together and all sort of thing. But I made that decision in about a week and a half, and I managed to get everything together, and before I knew it, I loaded up my old 1984 Toyota Tercel and rode into Bexley and moved in with 6 guys I'd never met before in my life in a place that became known as the Baseball House, and I think Pam Briggs remembers that place. And we just had a heck of a time. So many great memories. It was the best decision to that point and maybe ever that I made in my life transferring up to Capitol. It really changed everything for me. I think about the time spent on the baseball field. So many people I'd like to acknowledge and thank, but it starts with the best coach that I had in all my time playing from this big to that big, and that was Jeff Bricker. The guy was a real character, and he taught me so much on the field. Hard work, dedication, no excuses, and you get the absolute most out of whatever you got in that body as far as talent. And, I thought I did the best I could in 4 years to do that. And as a funny thing happened along the way, those same qualities that he taught me on that field, served me well, not just in life, but in the courtroom, and I think raising my family as well. And so I want to thank Jeff Bricker for all of that, and also his 2 assistants, Brian Arnold and Mike Walker. I'd like to dedicate it to the other players that were from that time period. I think we had some good success as a team, and I hear all those individual awards and it makes me smile and it brings back a lot of great memories. But when they mention that we made that tournament, which was a big deal back then, it was just the top 4 teams, and it may seem like a modest accomplishment, but it had never been done. And with the baseball program, we weren't the women's basketball team back then, and we had a really good run with that group. I remember bench clearing brawls at Hiram. I remember never getting rained out, and that wasn't because it didn't rain. We didn't have a tarp for the first 3 years, but we never got rained out at home, and he took great pride in that, Jeff Bricker did. They had this material, or this, it came in a bag, and people might think of it as kitty litter, really, but they called it Turfus, and we kept that company in business. We bought it by the giant bags, and by the time I left Capitol, there was more Turfus than dirt on that infield, I can promise you. But sometimes that wasn't quite enough, and I was telling the guys at the table here earlier tonight, if it got real bad, and I'm not kidding about this, Jeff Bricker would literally bring tanks of gasoline like that you would put in your lawnmower in the red cans, and he would take us out there, the wettest part of the field, and we would literally light that field on fire so that we could play games. There was one time, and it snowed, because we played in snow too. It was terrible. We had a tournament that we were hosting, and there was a freshman who was over, and he was spending the night at our place or something, and he made the mistake of answering the landline phone, the phone at the house. And we never did that, because if you did that, you were having to go down to the field to have to do all that stuff to get the field ready. But he answered it. The next thing you know, at 6 a.m., we're down there shoveling snow off the entire field, the infield and the outfield, so that we could play. Well, we absolutely got crushed that day because we were all exhausted, but we still played. But yeah, it was so many memories, the Florida trips and the guys. And, you know, I'm really thankful and grateful for all of that. I'd also like to dedicate this to my mom and my dad. They were tremendously supportive of a young kid who came up with that just sort of snap decision to transfer like that. I think a lot of parents would look at their son and say, hey, you had your go at it, it's time to move on. But they were tremendously supportive, and I thank you for that, because it made all the difference for me. So thanks. Anyways, just kind of wrapping things up, you know, they say in life that there's no place like home. And I think Dorothy had it right, because I feel like I'm back home. And thanks for having me, folks. You made for a really great day for my family and everybody else. Thank you very much, folks.
Tom McCurdy, class of 1979. Defensive players, especially those on the line, do not typically feel a lot of love when they take the field. This was especially the case for four-year letter winner, three-time All-OAC selection and All-American Tom McCurdy. His freshman year, the Crusaders struggled, putting up a 1-8 record. But what a turnaround Cap had once McCurdy became a regular on the defensive line. After giving up 211 points as a team in 1975, the 1976 campaign featured a defense that gave up just 58 points in 9 games. Good for an average of only 6.4 points per contest.
That was a lot of hair. Did you number them like Foghorn Leghorn and keep them for later on? Well, Tom began his career as a linebacker and was voted as Cap's most outstanding freshman performer on a team that was filled with first-year talent. He moved to the defensive line as a middle guard, which helped take his ability to a brand new level. Number 98 became immensely feared by opposing offensive lines and often targeted because of the disruption McCurdy caused on a regular basis. His first year at his new position, he was named an OAC selection for what would be the first of 3 times in his career. In 76 and 77, in those campaigns, Tom led the Crusaders in total tackles, making 61 and 65, respectively. Head coach Gene Slaughter predicted that with a solid senior season in 1978, McCurdy would become an All-American, a prediction that held up. Through the first 7 games of his senior season, Tom had 62 tackles with 2 games remaining and went on to surpass that high mark as well. Of those 62 tackles, 14 were behind the line of scrimmage. He went on to become a 3-time All-OAC selection and later earn All-American status. Twice, Capital Football was nationally ranked with McCurdy on the field. In the 4 years that he played, CU went from being a 1-8 team to posting 6-3 record in his senior season. As we mentioned in the video introduction, players on the defensive line often don't feel a lot of love for their hard work and the impact that they create on the game. I hope that you'll show me and show Tom that he is a special person, and that we honor Tom tonight as we shine a light on him and welcome a Crusader great in Tom McCurdy into the Athletic Hall of Fame. Tom?
Oh, those pictures back in those days. Sorry, Mom, I embarrassed you. What an honor and a privilege to be here and to be back on campus again today. Been 38 years since I've been here, not here, but back on around the football field, because I was coaching on Saturdays and on Fridays and having meetings with the staff and those type of things. But be able to come here and be around the family of Cap is just unbelievable, and the experience that I've had here is unbelievable. I need to thank the Hall of Fame committee as well as the university for giving me the opportunity for being selected to this. What an honor and privilege it has been to be selected that. Sometimes as the years goes on, you forget about all those things that was mentioned here earlier, because stats was not very important to me. I was more important to have great teammates, to have great teams, and just be able to be successful as a team. And as we could progress, we did that. And I think that was great Again, that says something about the Cap family. I'd like to congratulate all the other fellow inductees and award winners. It's great to be able to meet some of these people. Truly honored. Pam, I don't know if I can keep up with your talk, and James, I know I can't. Sometimes my wife and kids think that I talk too much, but really I'm just a shy, small-town country boy that had the opportunity to come to Capitol and came from a small town of a metropolitan, I would say, to everybody, that was about 250 people. And we divided it by half a mile between East Rushville and West Rushville. One town had a stop sign, the other one had a red light. You never got lost, and that was important. And because of the size of the town, my father, who could whistle very loudly, he knew where we were at, and it was time to get home. And he could be at one end of the town, and we could hear him, and it said, let's go. Several people I would like to thank here. One of them is to my high school coach, Gary Mahler, who passed away here this past spring. He's one of several men that were very instrumental in my life and growth as a young man. His wife, Betty's here, and Betty knows how I feel about Coach, and I feel about you, Betty. I really appreciate you being here tonight. But he's also a fellow Hall of Fame member, and he was able to influence me to come to Capitol. He was a strong influence on that, and was an encouragement and inspiration to me. And I'm very satisfied to be able to be standing here with that, with him in my mind. I wish he could have been here this evening. He was probably, as I said, one of the people that influenced me most. Probably one of the wisest decisions was to come to Capitol, next to the most important decision that I ever made in my life was with my wife, Jackie. We've been married for 36 years, and we never knew each other in Capitol, and she says that was probably good. We probably wouldn't have lasted. But very supportive, and I do appreciate that through all my coaching years, etc. I'd like to thank and honor our fellow 3 football coaches that were big influences with me at Capitol here. Obviously, the late Coach Slaughter, who took a chance on that small town boy and gave me the opportunity to come here. At that time, our defensive coordinator was Roger Welch, who later became the head coach here, as you're all aware of, and became the athletic director, and he's also in the Hall of Fame. And my position coach, Jim Blind, who was the defensive line coach, and he's in the Hall of Fame. So being around those 3 men was such an influence in my life that I was able to accomplish some things on the field, but also to grow as a young boy into a young man. Coming to Bexley, from that small town, definitely out of my element. What a shocker to come to Bexley in the Columbus area. But I'm glad I made that decision. I'm glad to be able to be here. I'd like to thank my teammates and everyone that was associated with them and all the memories we have. Like James, I could stand up here and tell you stories. I can remember the first time that I started there my freshman year in the first game against Heidelberg up in Tiffin. Made a tackle. At that time, I was playing an outside linebacker, and I made a tackle, and the next thing I know, I'm getting hit from the blind side, and I dislocated my hip. And that was one of the most painful things I've ever felt. But to be able to overcome that and continue on. Now, I'm paying for it now at this age, as my hip is starting to hurt a little bit more, but that's okay. But to go from there up to our senior year and to be able to have the success that we had, what a growth that was, and what an honor it is to be here. Finally, I'd like to thank my family. I saved them for last because it's important. My mother's here. As I said, my dad, who passed away here in the past year, wish he could be here. Very strong influence in my life. He always liked to tell himself that he was a commercial tourist, truck driver. He would be gone all week, and he would make an effort to be at all of our games. Didn't matter if it was high school or college. And if he couldn't be there, couldn't get home in time, he'd call Mom up and said, Mom, Well, didn't say Mom, said, dear, come and get me. We're going to the ball game. And it didn't matter where we had to play. We had to play all the way up to Baldwin Wallace or wherever. He made sure he was there. My sisters, Denise and Tracy, are here tonight, and their family. What support. And my late brother, Daryl. They supported me strongly in the football and being at the ball games and encouraged me to do the things there, and I thank them for that. And then my kids are here tonight. They didn't know anything, obviously. To take them up there and to show them the Hall of Fame wall, to show them the All-American wall, to let them have an opportunity to see what their dad's about, because Dad didn't talk about things like that. We were more concerned about just being a family, being successful as a family, being successful as a team. And I was obviously involved with coaching at the high school level. But I'm just pleased to have them here to be able to share this evening with me. I'll end it here there. I'm just saying I'm humbled, very proud to be one of the newest members of the Capital University Hall of Fame. And I thank you for allowing me to say a few words here. Go Cap.
Nici Workman, class of 2004. Nici arrived on the scene as the construction of the Capitol Center was being completed and helped begin the reconstruction of the Capitol volleyball program. Prior to her arrival, Capitol was hovering around 500 overall in each of the last 3 seasons. That all changed once she hit the floor and the program's success went through the ceiling. A 4-year letter winner, Workman became a regular starter as an outside hitter almost immediately. In 2000, she posted 460 kills and hit 23.9% with 275 digs, which was just the start to a promising career. As a sophomore, she broke in Capitol's new state-of-the-art athletic facility behind a team-high 513 kills, which at the time was second most all-time in a single season, and hit at a 26.9% clip. She was named first-team All-OAC for the first of 3 times in her career, and was tabbed Academic All-OAC Honorable Mention following the season. She was also selected as ESPN The Mag Crusader All-American of the Year.
But wait, there's more. Nici's junior year was when she really began to shine, a season where she tallied 585 kills, a new program record, and possessed an outstanding .303 attack percentage in addition to 66 service aces. She also went on to rank second on the team with 467 digs and third in total blocks with 73. Those numbers garnered her recognition on the 2002 AVCA All-Great Lakes Region team and later was named OAC Player of the Year. On a national scale, she was honored as the 2002 Second Team Academic All-American by ESPN The Magazine in Crusader. It would not be the only time she found herself on all those lists over the course of her career. That year, the Crusaders set what was at the time a school record with 30 wins. Her senior season marked the program's second OAC regular season championship in the history after going 8-1 in conference play in 2003. Along the way, Workman put forth another stellar year with 468 kills, 54 service aces, 432 digs, and 100 total blocks to fuel the Crusaders and put her in select company on a national level. These are normally stats for an entire team, not just one person. In addition to her all-conference, all-region, and academic All-American honors that she collected, it was then that Nici was also crowned an athletic All-American for the first time and hit the pinnacle of honors after being named ESPN The Magazine and COSIDA Academic All-American of the Year. Nici graduated as the OAC's career kill leader with 2,026, which is also a Capital Program record. She holds the school record for career service aces, 201, which ranks 10th in the OAC. And now Nici joins the ranks of the Capital Athletic Hall of Fame. Please join me in celebrating the achievements of one of the most accomplished student athletes to ever wear Crusader purple and white, Nici Workman. Nici.
Sitting there getting a little choked up. I have 2 very young children. You've probably seen one of them running around. My mom's got the other one in the back. It's been a really awesome journeying with these kids. Amelia, the one running around, just turned 3 the other day. And so sharing this because life is hard right now in all the good ways. But my husband, Donald, and I are both full-time professionals. We've got 2 young kids. I can't say no to anything, so I find myself involved in everything, and just kind of in execution mode. It's just sitting here, it's hard to think that was ever real life, that was the life that I lived. And I think when I was in it, it felt like it was never going to end. I guess when you're 18, 19, 20, that's how life feels. But it was just such an incredible experience and part of my life, and I feel like it's so much a part of who I am, even though I'm not playing volleyball anymore. So at first, just thank you. Thanks to the committee. Thanks to Capitol for allowing me to have this moment to remember. I don't say who I was because it's still who I am. It's morphed a little bit. My duties and responsibilities aren't to put knee pads on anymore, but maybe I should, honestly. So I want to start by introducing my family. I think like most of us up here, it starts with the CAP fam. I think we're drawn to a university like this because we're from strong families, and I'm no exception, and my family is just exceptional. My dad and mom are here with me. Again, my mom's in the back, I think, with the baby somewhere. And my dad, Mark, is sitting here. We're also from a small town, although not quite as small as yours, Tom. I grew up in Chillicothe, which is about an hour south of Columbus. I thought it was a tiny town when I grew up there, and I couldn't wait to get to the big city. Columbus, Ohio, I loved the freeways. I loved the skyscrapers, I called them. I've since been to Manhattan a number of times and seen a real skyscraper. But I mean, Chillicothe was a great place to be a kid, great place to be an athlete. Very strong roots. My parents are just incredible. I'm the oldest of 4 children. My brother Mark lives in LA, and he and his wife weren't able to make it. And my sister and her husband live in Greenville, South Carolina. And my baby brother and his wife are traveling all over the country. So I know they're here with me in spirit, but just incredibly lucky to have the family and the roots that I do. Also with me is my grandma Nancy and my grandmother Myrtle. They were at countless volleyball, basketball, softball, tennis, dance recitals, piano recitals. I mean, it starts with them. And instilling those values in my family. And I'll talk about 2 more in just a minute. I want to acknowledge my husband, Donald, who's here. He went to Xavier, so we did not know one another at Capitol, I think like someone else shared. I think that was you, Tom. I'm glad that I didn't meet him in college because he probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. I was a challenging person at times. I like to think it's because I was driven. He has been an incredible partner for me in life. We have 2 young girls, Emmy in the back. Emmy, can you wave? She just turned 3 on Wednesday. She made me a mom, and the greatest thing I've ever done is become a mother. And then Molly is 8 months old. She's in the back with my mom. It's not lost on me that I have 2 girls, and I'll touch on that in a minute too, what that means. But there are 2 that, in particular, in addition to my siblings that aren't here with me, and they're my grandfathers, one of whom I never got the chance to really know, and the other who I did. Excuse me. My grandpa Hecky, who's my grandma Nancy's husband, he passed away when I was a baby, but he was one of 6 children, 5 of whom were boys, all of whom played Division I college basketball. So we were born with balls in our hands in my family. Although I was reflecting this morning, there were lots of male athletes, but I think I was probably one of the first female. And he is a member of the Hall of Fame at Moorhead in Kentucky. So certainly his athletic genes are running through my veins. And then my grandma Myrtle's husband, Etzel, was a huge part of my life. And I think my favorite thing about him was a story that I only heard recently. I think it was either at my bridal shower or my baby shower. And I think my grandma was sharing it with my mother-in-law, Donna, who's in the back with the older. And it's a story that my grandpa, he grew up in a very small town in West Virginia, coal miner's son, And my grandma said until I came along, my grandpa thought that girls should play with dolls and be cheerleaders. But she said that I changed him, and he was one of my biggest fans. And you know, I can't think of a game that you guys weren't there. And he's just was such a special part of my life. And I think that story, I don't know how I never heard that, although he's pretty stubborn, and I can see probably how he thought that for a while. But reflecting on that, I think, makes me think about the bigger part of what we're doing here. And the sports are fantastic, and I'll talk about Coach Briggs in a minute and what she means to me. But the stats are great, and the competition is great, and all of that. But it's a bigger thing to us, especially us as Division III athletes. We're not here, or I wasn't at least, to become a professional volleyball player. I became a lawyer. But we're here to become people and better citizens and mothers and wives and sisters and professionals and every other role that we play. And I think it's the chance to make an impact on someone or to change someone's life or to change someone's viewpoint. And even though I didn't realize that I'd done that for my grandfather, looking at it now, I realize what a special opportunity that is. And as a mother of two young girls, that's a role that I take more seriously than anything else that I'll ever take in my entire life. And the fact that just because they're girls, sometimes people are still going to tell them that they can't. And it's my job to tell them and show them and teach them that they can. And so it's just incredibly humbling to be a part of that, to be a part of this university. And you know, the experience was just wonderful. I'm rambling. I had short notes here, but I want to talk a little about Coach Briggs, too. I know she's being honored this evening, and you heard a lot about the wonderful things that she's done for the university. But much like you were talking about, Tom, she took a chance on a small town girl like me. She described me as a diamond in the rough. I think that was mostly good. Volleyball, Chillicothe isn't known, or wasn't then known for great volleyball, but I was a kid who loved the sport. And I loved to compete, and I wanted a chance. And a lot of kids from where I'm from go away to school, and they don't stay. When you grow up in a small town, you're used to being a big fish in a small pond, and everybody knows who you are. And then you get into a new environment, and it's hard. And you're good among a bunch of other good players. You're not the best anymore, or you aren't the best to start, and you have to reprove yourself. So a lot of kids where I'm from don't stay, and they come and they play for a season and they go home. So the fact that she came repeatedly to visit me, I think my dad was really keen on me coming here, which made me not want to. I was that kind of kid. So for a while I thought, I'm not going to go to Capitol, but she kept pushing, and I'm so glad I came. You know, looking at this building, we joke sometimes because my freshman year this building was being built, so the old gym was on this space. So my freshman year, we played at Bexley High School, and we practiced at St. Charles. And so we laugh about the different places I could have gone. And you went to a school with no gym? But then our sophomore year, we had a gym, and it was just an incredible ride. My freshman year, we were 8th in the league. By my senior year, we were tied for first place with Baldwin Wallace and Ohio Northern. And that was in a span of 3 years, which is just incredible and a huge testament to Coach Briggs here. But back to the themes of just the responsibility that I feel in raising strong and confident and respectful and gracious women. It starts with the women that I have in my life, my mom, my grandmothers, Coach Briggs, and it's a role that beyond anything else, like I said, I just take so seriously, and I'm just so humbled to have the chance to pass it on to another generation. My husband Donald was a volleyball player as well, so we secretly hope both of our girls play, but we're not gonna push it, because if they're anything like me, they're gonna run the other way. But it's just wonderful. Before I forget also too, this didn't show it, I was also a tennis player at Capitol. Leonie Turak is sitting over here at Coach Briggs' table. I didn't come to play tennis, but I am a tennis player, and when I got to campus, someone said, oh, you better watch out for the tennis coach. She likes to pluck 1 or 2 volleyball players to play tennis, and I don't even remember who that person was, and I said, oh, I actually play tennis. I was on the roster and going on spring break before I even met you. So that was a wonderful experience as well. My freshman year, we were runners-up in the OAC. We were so close. Actually, I think it was my match that I lost. That could have made us champions, but some of my best friends to date are the girls I played tennis with. So, Leonie, I'm very grateful for you as well. So I'm far past my allotted time, I believe, but just gratitude all around. And I love Capital. I love this university. I love giving time back. It was such a wonderful place for me and put me on such a wonderful path that it's a special place in my heart. And standing here in this gym is one of my favorite places in the world. So thank you very much.
In addition to our 4 Hall of Fame inductees, Capital also recognizes 2 other prominent award winners. The Alumni Varsity C Association Crusader Distinguished Service Award for Athletics is designed to provide public recognition and honor to those men and women who have used their time, talents, expertise in support of and service to the Capital University athletics programs and who do not qualify for Athletic Hall of Fame consideration. This year's winner of the Crusader Distinguished Service Award for Athletics is Fred Dafler. Dafler, a 1950 graduate of Capital University with a degree in biology, has been a devout supporter of Capital University and its athletic programs since stepping foot on campus. He was a member of the track and field team for one season, but also was involved as a staff writer with the Chimes, was the business manager of the 1949 Capitalian, and was a 3-year member of Maskers.
And following his graduation from Capital, Fred taught at Lanier High School before enlisting in the U.S. Army, which he served from 1951 to 1953. Upon his return, he was a high school math and science teacher, principal, and superintendent at Franklin Monroe Local School District in Pittsburgh, Ohio from 1953 to 1969. Fred then involved himself with the Ohio High School Athletic Association, serving as assistant commissioner from 1957 to 67, and then associate commissioner from 1969 to 1995. Throughout those years, he was also an official for track and field, serving 56 years, 22 years for football, 13 years for basketball, was a college football official for 10 years, and probably took more than 1,000 calls from me saying, "Fred, explain the difference between offside and encroachment in high school football," and other questions that I'm sure he never wanted to hear from me again. But he was always there to answer the questions for me. As it turns out, that long string of accomplishments isn't exactly why Fred is here tonight. All that dedication to athletics took place outside of Capital, and it's what earned him the Hugo Wenzel Award of Merit, an Alumni Varsity C Award not being presented this year. Back in 1978 is when he won that. Tonight, Fred Dafler is receiving the Crusader Distinguished Service Award, which focuses on contributions specifically to Capital athletics and is more a reflection of his work in more recent decades. Many of you in this room have known Fred for a good number of years and have seen firsthand the work that he has put into the champion cause of Crusader athletics. For those that have not had the opportunity to know Fred since he stepped back from his involvement in 2015, let me quickly share a few highlights. Following his retirement, Fred came back to Capital, where for 17 years he served as a coordinator of the university archives on a part-time basis. While helping to maintain the history for the entire university was the primary cause, it did, of course, give him access to a great deal of athletic history as well. Combined with his passion for Crusader sports and his strong involvement in Alumni Varsity C, Fred spent many, many years being the master of the Hall of Fame and award selection process. Countless hours of volunteered work went into coordinating selection committees, sifting through nominations, working with coaches, and coordinating with the alumni office to put together past versions of this evening's program. Dozens of members of the Athletic Hall of Fame owe a debt to Fred for having their storied careers brought out of filing cabinets and back into the limelight. Numerous Capital alumni have been honored as award recipients because Fred witnessed their own individual involvement out in the community firsthand and brought recognition of their work back to the campus. It was those years of work, of quietly making a huge impact behind the scenes, that are why we are here with Fred tonight as he joins a very elite list of people who have won both the Wenzel Award and the Crusader Distinguished Service Award. Fred, I think that you have earned a little time here at the podium. I'll ask you about encroachment and offsides in a second as well, too. Please join me in thanking him for his many contributions to Capital University. Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Dafler.
June of 1927, William Bill Bernlohr, athletics at the Hall of Fame at Capital University, and one of the early ones selected. He's an outstanding player, career in basketball and baseball. He became a coach at basketball and baseball and athletic director for many, many years afterwards. George Freeman of Columbus South High School came here in 1935 to enroll at Capital. He is the first black student to attend Capital University. He graduated in 1939 and from the seminary in 1942 and was posthumously inducted into the Athletics Hall of Fame in football and basketball. He became a pastor in southern part of the USA after his time here. In 1946 and 47, the basketball team were OAC champions based on the best season record of all the OAC teams since they did not have a postseason tournament in those days. The starting five in that team was seniors Richard Ott, Herb Schreider, James Carlisle, John Young, and a sophomore Harold Whitey Reagan, who later became a head basketball coach at Capital. All of those were inducted into the Capital Athletics Hall of Fame, plus team members Richard Stock, Paul Bucky Walters, Bernard Zeller, Daniel Souza. Three of the seniors, Ott, Schreider, and Carlisle, became special agents in the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Coach Bill Bernlohr was a teacher coach, and he was very much in with fairness and sportsmanship his whole time. He had a game in which, during the end of the game, the opposing team no longer had 5 players who were eligible to participate in the game. They only had 4 left. So to finish the game, Coach Bernlohr removed one of the cap players, and the game was finished 4-4. In 1949 football, Roy Hoke, playing on the defensive time in that particular play, stole the ball from the opposing team ball carrier and ran it into the end zone for a touchdown for Capital. Think about that one. Bob Kennedy, who was here at the game today, also in a class of 50, is the first Capital All-American on the record. Vince Ciccarella came here in the late 60s as a men's basketball coach. His 68-69 team went 14-9, the 69-70 team 20-4, the first cap team to win 20 games in a season, undefeated in regular season conference play at 13-0. In 1970-71, they were 21-4. They were the first cap team to win OAC championship tournament. If you have any question about that, it can be verified by the point guard in those 3 seasons, who is seated right back here in the middle of the crowd, Jim Dafler. Gene Slaughter, 1950 again, became head football coach in the 70s, 80s because he got tired of the way the seasons were going here, and he came back to be the football coach to try to revive the football program. Roger Welsh coached the 1987 football team to a postseason NCAA D3 tournament game versus the University of Dayton at Welcome Stadium in Dayton. Next, we come to the women's sport because they came on the scene in the late 1980s, and it has been great. Think of all of them in soccer, swimming and diving, basketball, golf, tennis, track and field, cross country, soccer, and recently lacrosse, and I've also added men's lacrosse in the recent times. Oh, and I forgot softball is another one of them that has been very successful. One of the honorees back then was Leslie Mahaloff, who was a 1979 All-American, 1995 Capitol Hall of Fame, and she was selected for swimming. And we did have swimming here for a few years, I'm not sure. Leslie is a physician at Nationwide Children's Hospital here in Columbus. In 1950, Capitol played Marietta men basketball at Marietta. At the end of the 5 overtimes sessions, the scoreboard says that Marietta had 100 points and Capitol had 99. When they added up the points for Marietta, they only had 99. But by rule, at that time, Marietta was named the winner of the game. The interesting note I bring this up at is the fact that Leslie Mahaloff's father was the center on the Marietta team in that game that I just mentioned. Success seems richer with coaches who coach many seasons and become very loyal to Capitol and the players. It's like they've been here forever. And just naming Dixie Jeffers in basketball, Damon Goodwin in basketball, Pam Briggs volleyball, Nan Payne in softball, and there's many, many more that have been here that have made it a good place to be. Women's basketball has been quite successful. 1993, they were the national runners-up in the Division III national tournament. 94 and 95, they were NCAA Division III national champs. It is still interesting to remember the game, which is played right where you are sitting now, only with a different building over the top of it. But this is where the final game in 1995 and the games before that, with two last-second three-point field goals, hitting nothing but net. Katie Mang shot those shots and resulted in the championship being won here. Carrie Ferguson is a 1997 Academic and Athletics All-American in basketball and volleyball. 1998, and this is really an interesting award, as an American in basketball and volleyball, All-American in basketball and volleyball. In 1998, she was selected by the NCAA as the top 8 Scholar 8 Award. 8 people on Division 1, 3, 2, and 3 combined in one time. She was not one of those 8. I think that is just awesome. She's also in the 2007 Cap Athletic Hall of Fame. In this building, up on the second floor, up the stairway, if you haven't seen it, is a display of the All-American academic and athletic people who have gone through the doors here. They are noted as academic or athletic, and in some cases there are both. Carrie Ferguson and Nici Workman have also been, are in that line and have been in both. Since 1950, there are 110 CAP students so honored, with 37 academic and 86 athletic. Now, if you add those things up, you may wonder about it, but that's the way it is. As I said, the display is at the top of the floor, and you're invited to visit it. Capitol University Alumni Varsity C in recent years has been providing special awards to the members of championship teams. With successes, many athletes have presented a special award. So when we've had state champions and other things, that has been done. And the Alumni Varsity C also helps to subsidize the needs of other other sports along the way. So funding comes from AVCA, and any gift is greatly appreciated. So you're welcome to present some too also. And how do we get there? Some people call it luck. Are these successes provided by luck? For your information, I call your attention to a book called Our God is an Awesome God. It's copyrighted in 1994 by Anthony T. Evans, a noted preacher. I'm going to quote one paragraph. Our God is sovereign. That means there's no such thing as luck. The word ought to be expunged from the dictionary, or at least from any serious usage. You are never lucky or unlucky. Under God, no chance happenings occur. Anything that happens to you, good or bad, must pass through His fingers first. There are no accidents with God. Thank you. You are blessed to be a blessing. Go with God.
The Berea Boots Award is annually given to a senior student athlete which at the end of his or her junior year has excelled at more than one sport at Capital. The 2017 Berea Boots Award winner is Derek Knabe, class of 2018, of cross country and track and field. Knabe is a native of Cincinnati, Ohio, and product of Oak Hills High School. He is also a member of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, in addition to being a 3-year letter winner in both sports. He is currently ranked 9th in program history in the 5,000-meter run in cross country and 3rd in the 3,000-meter steeplechase on the outdoor circuit. On the indoor circuit, he is in the Capital top 10 in the 800 meters, 1,000 meters, 1 mile, and 3,000 meters.
And your mouth was always open. A lot of breathing going on there, huh? Perhaps one of the best parts of this awards program is that we get to conclude by talking about the accomplishments of one of Capital's current student athletes. It serves as a reminder that this year's Hall of Fame inductees were once students themselves. When they first arrived as new members of the Cap family, their success stories had yet to be written into the record books. And now we have the privilege of celebrating someone who has not yet concluded their special undergraduate experience. Please help me welcome this year's Berea Boots recipient, Derek Knabe, to the podium. Derek, close your mouth.
Sorry, I'll adjust this. I'm a short guy. Who picked those pictures? These look awful. At least my parents will be really unhappy that I said this, but last year for our indoor conference meet, I took all the long hair off and had a mullet. You guys should see those pictures. They're great. I'm in the middle of my senior cross-country season, and I started running back in 7th grade, so I have been running for 10 years now. And in those 10 seasons, I can tell you one thing. Running is hard. Even when you love running, it's hard. It'll kick your ass. Running, having practice at 6 a.m. every morning, waking up at 5:30 all school year long, it's hard. Running all winter and summer break by yourself is hard. Racing, just itself, is hard. But luckily, I chose to come to Capital, who has such a rich tradition of excellence in athletics. And I've been blessed with coaches sitting over there, present coaches and past coaches from high school and middle school that have given me opportunities to succeed. And I have teammates that have made it really easy to wake up that early every day, and parents who have kept me accountable and made sure that I was out there getting in those miles even when I come home late after work. And lately to the athletic training staff, who doesn't get near the recognition that they deserve for helping us student athletes. And today's been really special because I've gotten to hang out in the VIP lounge and be down on the football field and to meet these other Hall of Fame inductees and award recipients, to understand that all the stuff that I'm doing day in and day out, the hard work, when even if you don't have the race that you wanted or the workout that you wanted, or you don't always see the end result of the hard work that you're putting in, it does mean something. It means something to the coaches to see you have a good workout. It means it to the teammates that you're helping bring up after they didn't have the workout that they wanted, or the other students around you, even my teammates that I have class with, that we study in and out of the classroom, late nights in the library. It's all of that, and that means the world to me, and I'm really happy that I chose Capital University, and I see that I have some really big shoes to fill when I graduate and am a loyal supporter of Capital University as an alumni. Thank you.
We would like to congratulate all our Hall of Fame inductees. May the example you set continue to inspire Capital athletes for years to come.
As we wrap it up, I want to add a couple of things. First of all, Tom McCurdy also gave birth to football at Hilliard Darby High School. Without his leadership, they wouldn't have football there. Fred Dafler, there is encroachment in high school football. There is no offside. Once you violate the neutral zone, it is encroachment. I learned that. And because of Pam Briggs, I was the lead broadcaster for the Big Ten Network on volleyball for 5 years. This concludes our program, but before we turn everyone loose for the evening, we'd like to ask the inductees and award winners to briefly stay so that your photographer can take some official photos. Families are also here to welcome you and to join you. And families, if you'd like to, once they're done with those pictures, you can join in the festivities as well, too. We'll make those photos available to you so you can save these memories for years to come. This has been a memorable day for our Hall of Fame inductees and award recipients. I would ask all of you to stand one more time so that we can recognize you for your accomplishments and your dedication to Capital University. Congratulations to you all. Thank you all very much for coming, and we hope to see you back on campus again real soon. Go Capital!